I'm your host today, Joel Trout. It's my honor and privilege each week to share with you new and emerging authors who have compelling stories. And today is not going to disappoint. It's my honor and privilege to introduce to you Miss Jeanne Enstad. Glad to meet you, Jeanne.
Joe. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. There are books and then there are books. There's fictional and there's non-fictional. Now, we have a non-fiction life here, a non-fiction book that reads like fiction, because you couldn't imagine an individual going through what this young lady has gone through. And she has put it in a book, A Journey of Hope to Heaven and Back. So, Jeanne Enstad, you've been to heaven.
Yes.
Couple times.
Yeah.
Okay. So, why don't you, because on the back of your book, you kind of compile all of the things that you went through, surgeries and all at once. So let's start this out by first sharing with everyone what you've gone through in the physical body, physically as far as sicknesses and all.
Okay. First of all, I was 34 years old, and I was trying to run the Boston Marathon, running 6-minute miles, 10 miles a night. Didn't make it because my heart ended up failing, so I ended up having open heart surgery. They had to replace my mitral valve. 4 hours later, it failed and I had a massive stroke. And they had to go in and put a mechanical valve in. And I went to heaven then, watched the surgery and that sort of thing. But I talk in my book what heaven is like. It's absolutely amazing and beautiful. But to go back to my surgeries, from there I've had 5 open heart surgeries. I've had ovarian cancer the following year. I had a brain tumor, I had a breast cancer, and had a head-on collision with a semi. I was in a body cast for a year. I've had gangrene in my legs 5 or 6 times, and they were going to amputate them. Had a heart attack a year ago, so it's been an adventure and a journey for 28 years. I've had like 28 years of 2 or 3 surgeries every year. Paid $290,000 in medical expenses, and I just paid my last medical bill off last week, so I'm excited about that. So that's pretty much in a short synopsis there,
oh my goodness.
history.
did y'all capture that? And when I was meeting her, I said, well, you are modern day Job or Jobette, okay? Here's what I would say. You certainly don't look like what you've been through.
Oh, thank you.
It's just amazing to hear this story of your life, a journey of hope to heaven and back. Can you just give us a brief synopsis of what your experience in heaven felt like?
Heaven was absolutely beautiful. What you read in the book of Revelation is exactly the way it is. The colors are gorgeous. It's beautiful. The streets were golden and that sort of thing. 2 things I'd like to talk about. One thing that amazed me was that, I saw mansions after mansions. Beautiful. The colors, the trees, the fruit trees, everything. I saw someone grab up like what looked like a peach, and as soon as they grabbed that, there was another one right there in the place, and that still amazes me. The other thing is I had an angel take me all over different places, and I heard my grandpa. My grandpa was a farmer, so I heard him in a garden, and I wanted to see him, of course. My angel pulled me back and said, no, you can't go in there because you're going back to Earth. But I heard him laughing, and I said, my grandpa never laughed, and she said, well, he's in heaven. I went to a kitchen area, and my grandma was the great baker, and I knew she was there. I heard her voice, and I said, that's my grandma, I want to go see her. And she said, no, you can't. I said, my grandma is laughing. She never laughs because she's in heaven. The other thing, there was all of this like celebration and things like that, and I'm like, what is that? She said, oh, someone just entered heaven. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, when they come here, we have a welcoming committee that goes out and greets them. And then they take them to, if they have a family member here. I was like, oh my gosh. There's just, no pain, just joy. I describe it as, have you ever heard the saying that if you could live in a world where everybody loves each other and everything is perfect and great, that's heaven. That's what it's about.
Now, was that on the heels of a surgery, or when did that occur?
It happened when, as soon as they put me on life support when I had my first open heart surgery and I had the stroke. It's like my body and spirit were separated. I was watching them from above, what looked like my dead body. And they were, the surgeons are running around trying to save my life. In fact, my surgeon, they have a drape over the patient's head. He grabbed that drape and pulled up, and he said, "Oh my gosh, she's so young, she cannot die." I was above trying to tell them. I felt like I was screaming, saying, I'm fine, I'm at peace. Don't worry about me, stop worrying. But they were rushing around, and I watched that. Second time I went to heaven, I saw my body laying on the bed. That was when I had the head-on collision with a semi. I was in a body cast then. And I saw my 3 kids. And I saw Sarah. She was sitting by my bed, holding my hand and crying and asking God not to take me. And my oldest son was doing the same thing. He was standing there and he was just asking God not to take me. And Doug, my middle son, was just, just staring. And I remember I wanted to stay. I didn't want to go back. And Jesus looked at me and said, "What about them?" And I'm like, "What about them?" He said, "You have to go back, take care of them." And that's why I came back. It was for that.
So you've gone through so many things, and you're a person of faith.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't in the beginning as much as I am now, definitely.
Okay, so an observer would say, well, where's your God when all of that's happening? You go from cancer to stroke to heart problem, Lyme disease. How do you answer someone who says, where's your God then?
I was angry, and my book talks about it. I talk about my conversations with him, and I was very angry with him. I was like, what is going on? Why do I have to go through this? Why can't you heal me? I know you can heal. And I have all my conversations. Some are very humorous. And I answered, but when you hit up against the wall and the doctors come in and said, there's nothing we can do, God is your only answer. And yeah, I had my nights of, being on my knees, begging God and asking God, and being angry with him and saying, I don't understand. But when you're back up against, like I said, when you're back up against the wall like that, he is your only answer. And I was. He was the only answer. And when I totally trusted him and gave it all to him, he did make a difference. He did change things for me. I started healing. Doctors come up with answers and that sort of thing. So through all the experiences I went through in the trials, I learned that he is our only answer. He has the bigger picture. We don't. He knows things we don't, even though we think we do. And I always thought I did, but he does.
Well, when we first met, I figured out that you must be a type A personality.
I am. Yes.
Okay, so for a type A who's preparing for the Boston Marathon.
Right.
Very few people can prepare for that. It just takes so much dedication and commitment. Mm-hmm. So what's it like for you to have that kind of drive and then for the bottom to cave out and still have that drive and you can't do anything about what's happening? How do you deal with that?
Well, it's like when I found out about my open heart surgery. After the surgeon told me, I went back home and I got in my closet. And I was hiding. First thing you want to do when an issue comes up, I want to hide from it. Mm-hmm. So, I go in and put the covers over my head and I'm thinking, what am I going to do? My heart's inside my body. I can't do anything about it. So it's like, yeah, I was disappointed. I was heartbroken. I was like, but there comes a point where, we can't, but he can. And so that's it. It's that simple. There's things we can't do. And that was my big deal because I am a workaholic and I can, in fact, I went to my college professor and I walked in his office and he goes, I know why you're here. And I said, why am I here? And he goes, you're a workaholic. I said, how'd you know that? He goes, well, you're the only student I had in psychology that would bring their solution with them when they're going in for a colonoscopy next day. And I was like, oh, that's a dead giveaway, isn't it? And he goes, yeah, we need to do something about this or you're going to fight this battle the rest of your life. Well, I'm still fighting the battle, but I'm better.
Well, it tells on you because someone has been through all of that and yet you still have this bright, perky personality. It tells me that your personality could not be covered up or overshadowed by what you've been through. And you did share with us that you also live with pain every day. Is that correct?
Yeah, I only get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep at night. I wake up every morning crawling to the shower to get in the heat. And I just say, God, this is your day. I literally cannot live without him. And I just say, I'm in. I've learned all these years, I'm in now. Whatever you have planned for me, I'm in. And when we actually follow his plan, our life is so exciting. And yeah, I mean, even my doctor said we need to put a pain pump in, and they've done all these tests and said your pain is extraordinary. And they asked me, every doctor comes up and said, what gets you through? And I said, God. And they're like, yeah, what really gets you through? God. So, I mean, it's through his power and his strength and his love that I'm able to do what I'm doing, and I couldn't do without it.
This is a powerful book. I asked you about it becoming a movie because I believe it has movie written all over it. What would you say to those that are watching today as a summary of what you've been through, a journey of hope to heaven and back? How would you encourage them today?
First of all, I think we all go through trials in our life, no matter what they are, and I think that we have hope. Everyone in this world, no matter what you go through, has hope through the Lord. And God created each of us for a purpose and a reason. And, we're all going to die. It's either heaven or hell, and it's our choices that we make. And I just want people to know that there's hope. God does have a beautiful eternal home for us, and our journey is to have a good, close relationship with him. Our journey is to help others, bring others to him. And I think that's the hope I want to bring to people, is that we're all human beings, and we all go through a lot, but there's hope in him, because he created us. He knows. And when we go to him, he has the answer. We can go to people. I call it people pleaser. I've always been a people pleaser. We can go to all kinds of people, go to psychiatrists or whatever for advice. God's the one that's got the real advice, because he created it. He created you, he created me. He knows the purpose he has for us. We live in that purpose. Life is amazing, and we can go through anything.
Well, Jeanne Enstad, thank you for your story, for sharing your story in this book, and I hope you're inspired by her life. My takeaway is every day you tell the Lord, I'm in. And we're in today. And thank you for your time. And we'll be back later. God bless you.